Good morning, Mexican American literature and culture. Today is Friday, May 1st. And today I'm going to walk you through the assignment that you will be working on today and on Monday, which is kind of the closing to our study of corridos as counter narratives. So you will be writing a unit reflection. So now that you've studied corridos and how they serve as a voice for some Mexican Americans who felt voiceless, especially immediately after the Mexican American War, you are an expert. You not only understand the history, you understand the form of the corrido, and you understand the corrido archetype, the pattern that is followed more than most people out in the street. So um, you are now going to use that knowledge to write a paragraph that proves your learning. We've done readings, we've heard music, you've seen video clips, and now you're going to make something with it. You're going to also use the words we've learned, especially because I really want you to start muscling up your writing. And some of you have done a great job of that, but some of you, again, you're handing in empty sentences, and that's what we want to start growing out of. Empty sentences are okay when you are in elementary school. You are a grown-ups now, so we need to write as grown-ups and develop that muscle in your writing. So before we get started and before I give you any more details on what you're going to do, I want to tell you everything that you're going to need to write your um, your paragraph today. You've already done. Okay, so I want to point out that all of these assignments, you should refer back to them to help you with your writing, because some of the writing might already be there and it might be a matter of cutting and pasting. So since Tuesday, right, we learned, we start off Tuesday, April 21st, we start off with what do you know, just a quick survey. We went into, the definition of what is a corrido. We studied Americo Paredes. We also talked about and we learned the purpose of corridos. Then this previous Monday, we learned about archetypes, and we also compared an archetype to a stereotype. We know that an archetype is a cultural pattern in literature. Corridos they follow a pattern. Joaquin Murrieta, and then we also know stereotypes, right, are ways that people are categorized into groups and put certain qualities ascribed to them and to their character based on the groups that they're a part of. We see both of this happen with the stories of both Joaquin Murrieta and Gregorio Cortes, which is why we study these two corridos and why they're so widely studied. Although the lyrics are very simple, they point to a complex history of Mexican Americans, here in the United States, and their interactions with their new government, the new society they become a part of. So we studied Joaquin Murrieta. His corrido was immediately after the Mexican American War, the 1850s. We studied Gregorio Cortes. His corrido comes about 50 years later, the early 1900s. However, they're very similar, these two. They're very different at the same time. They end very different. So now what you're going to do, so using the work, right? Again, I'm going to review our learning. So you learned, right, the corridos, the voiceover, the subaltern. We learned the purpose of corridos. We learned what the term subaltern means. And we then looked at a corrido by los Tigres del Norte on the corrido to help us understand how corridos provide a voice for the voiceless. We also know that corridos serve all three purposes. They inform, they persuade, they also entertain. We mostly associate them with entertainment. Scholars are interested in how they provide information on the history that they're a part of. We read this, you understood. This helps us understand the corrido, its elements and structures, and also the content, what corridos are usually about. We learned about Americo Paredes, who became interested in corridos as a source of understanding and scholarship. He brought not only corridos to to academic settings, but he also just opened up the field of Mexican American studies for everyone. And I think he looks a little bit like Walt Disney. So he not only studied corridos, he studied cuentos, like La Llorona, you could see right there, etc. So we're gonna think about cuentos too. And we followed up under the paragraph. So now we know that corridos come from the word correr, or to run. They run a story. They're a medium for the subaltern. People who don't have a voice in society get an opportunity to share their side of the story. So, really important term. I want you to use it in your writing. What a subaltern, the groups or those who are voiceless, marginalized in society. And through corridos, again, they have an opportunity to tell their side of the story. We see this in the lyrics. That's what Los Tigres del Norte are trying to convey in their song El Corrido. We wrote about it. We also know that corridos are counter arguments. They're counter narrative. They tell the other side of the story, especially as they relate to the early corridos, as they relate to the story of Manifest Destiny. Mexican Americans, Chicanos, use them as a form of social, or see them as a form of social artistic protest. They are countervocal. Again, they tell the opposing story. They provide another source of history, a different point of view in history. And also they provide another source of power, a challenge to authority. So we know the corridos, the parts of the corrido. It always starts with the greeting, and then it ends with the dismissal, a farewell. We looked at this through the lens of one of the earliest, Joaquin Murrieta. We read the lyrics. We know he had a tragic end. It was, and then we did the same thing with Gregorio Cortés. And we know both of these men had they were different times, but there are similarities because these two characters follow an archetype. The archetype, usually, as you can see in this portrait of Gregorio Cortés, is a man living his life, doing the best he can to, not only survive, but to be successful and to support his family, is wronged by authorities. He seeks some kind of revenge. And that revenge, he is either, in the case of Joaquin Murrieta, right, he ends on the run. Gregorio Cortés as well. Joaquin Murrieta and Gregorio Cortés in real life had very different endings. So now that I've reviewed all of this, okay, let's write our paragraph. So you are now going to write a paragraph that shows what you've learned. I want you to be specific. Don't have empty sentences. Be specific. I'm going to bold that. And please include 5 vocabulary terms that we've learned. You've got a whole list. It gets bigger every time, and I love that it's getting bigger. Also, I'm providing you, so you've got words, and also you've got sentences here to help you. Questions, guiding questions. And all you do when you look at questions, one thing again, and we're not just learning about Mexican American literature, we're learning how to write and how to make writing easy for ourselves. So I've outlined it here on the side. Okay, so for your topic sentence, I'm asking you to answer the question, what is a corrido and what did you know about the corrido before this unit? Okay, so I'm going to use the question to help me write my answer. And I'm going to leave this blank because that's for you to fill that in. Through this unit, I learned that its purpose is, and it follows a structure that starts and ends okay. Now I'm going to move into my introduction to evidence. Okay. We know that Americo Paredes is one of the reasons why we study corridos in Mexican American literature. So Americo Paredes was and he studied corridos because here would be a good place to talk about corridos and their connection to history and also being a voice for the subaltern, if you want to do that. Two corridos he studied were Joaquin Murrieta and Gregorio Cortés. El corrido, and I'm gonna I'm sorry, I should start with Joaquin Murrieta. Was important because was about, I'm going to fill that in, and it was important because, and here I might want to talk about the miners' tax and Mexican Americans after considered outsiders after the Mexican American War, and this was also Mexican Americans who had been living there forever before the United States was the government that owned the property of California in the Southwest. Okay. Two corridos he studied were Joaquin Murrieta, Gregorio Cortés, and we start with Joaquin Murrieta. Let's move on to Gregorio Cortés. Gregorio Cortés was, and here I'm going to write who he was, and his corrido was important because, okay, so we're going to finish it up with our analysis. We move into, so we've done this, we did this, and now we're going to talk about why. Okay, so the analysis asks, although written 50 years apart, they follow similar patterns because the corrido hero is an archetype. What does this archetype represent? Okay, so the corrido hero follows a common pattern because as an archetype, he represents what does it represent? There we go. And you fill that in. And then finally, I want to talk about corridos because this is the big bang, right? We're going to use the word subaltern because it's fancy. So we're going to follow it up. It asks me, how did corridos help the subaltern tell their side of the story? Corridos help the subaltern tell their side of the story by, and I'm going to fill it in. And then the last one, I can't really tell you what you believe, but you have to answer the question. Do you believe that they continue to serve that purpose today? I believe, and that's whatever you think. I'm okay with that. But just for fun, there's 2 corridos. If you get a chance to look them up, there's a corrido for Nipsey Hussle that I highly recommend that you check out. And there's a corrido for Kobe Bryant. And again, 2 very different characters from Joaquin Murrieta and Gregorio Cortes, but they're very similar. I would challenge you to take a look at those and think about what are the similarities. But some similarities, once again, we know the archetype, right? Man works hard, loves their family, tries to do the best they can, and then maybe they're avenged or something goes wrong, terribly wrong. But again, the message is powerful. The commitment for these men, Joaquin Murrieta, Gregorio Cortes, to family, and then the feeling of being wronged or something getting in the way, challenging their path and their destiny. Okay, so that is it. I hope this is helpful. Use this as you need it. Some things I'm noticing here, I've got a spelling error. Check in on those. Write in complete sentences, because when you don't write in complete sentences, when you let go of spelling patterns, spelling errors that are as easy as that, clicking them, you misrepresent yourself. You appear and you sound and you look on paper childish, and we do not want to be childish, because when we appear to be childish, we will always be undermined. Writing is so important. It's now more important than ever. It'll be something that will carry you very far if you learn to work it in your favor, to elevate your voice. Always, always represent yourself with care. Do not be sloppy. Make all your best efforts. And that is all for today. If you have questions, please let me know. I'm available for individual support, and I'm always happy to. In fact, I really enjoy it. Miss you guys so much. I really wish I could be your teacher in the classroom, but I'm not right now. But I'm going to do the best I can. I've helped a few of you bring your grades up, and we've worked this week on portfolios. If you're still not having, if you're not passing, I'm going to leave that choice up to you. If you want to pass, you let me know. If you don't want to pass, I'm okay with that. That's your choice, but I would like to help you if you would like the help. If there's something that I can do, I am going to do it 100%. Those of you who have come and asked me, you know that I will. So have a beautiful weekend. This is due Monday, midnight. And next week, we talk about La Llorona. That's right. I said La Llorona, the scary lady. I'll talk to you later. Peace and have a beautiful day.